At my fiancé Liam's birthday party, a group of us were playing Truth or Dare. Liam drew the dare to kiss the closest person of the opposite sex. He looked over at me, sitting beside him, but a brightly smiling face suddenly blocked his view. "Oh, how awkward. I just came over to propose a toast to Liam," a syrupy voice announced Emma, who, dressed in a trendy, youthful outfit, squeezed herself between Liam and me. "But it's your birthday, Liam. I have to give you a pass." Emma cupped Liam's face and kissed him. "Happy birthday, Liam. You little rascal, always fooling around, so disrespectful." Liam playfully pushed Emma away, her bright red lipstick smudged on his lips. Liam's buddies started cheering and egging them on. Everyone close to Liam knew that even though Emma called him Liam with every other word, she was actually just the daughter of some distant relative from his hometown, with no blood relation at all. Bang! I slammed my glass heavily onto the table. "Liam, look, Sophia is upset." "It's just a game, Sophia is being so petty." Emma pouted, clinging to Liam's neck. "Sophia, Emma's just joking around, there are so many people here. Be understanding, don't make a big deal out of it." Liam glanced at my darkening expression and said impatiently, "I'm making a big deal? Liam, you..." Before I could finish, Emma shoved a strawberry she had bitten into Liam's mouth. Liam, who usually never touched anything I had eaten, opened his mouth and swallowed it directly this time. "Oh, it is sweet. You're quite the picker, you little rascal." I gripped my wine glass tightly, my knuckles white with anger. When I looked up, my eyes met the cool gaze of the man opposite me. I paused, slightly startled. The private room had been so noisy before, I hadn't noticed that such a busy man as Sage had also arrived. After a brief eye contact, he lowered his gaze and picked up his phone, and I casually turned my face away. Then I suddenly heard my phone buzz. A friend request popped up on WhatsApp from the party group chat. It was Sage. I was a little surprised. Having been with Liam for so long, I knew most of his friends, but no one had ever actively added me on WhatsApp, because they all knew I was Liam's fiancé. What was Sage's intention today? People started singing in the private room, and the music was very loud. Emma had switched seats with someone else and was now sitting to Liam's left, whispering something while giggling with her hand over her mouth, leaning on his shoulder. This wasn't the first time Emma had acted like this in the past 2 years, but Liam always indulged her. Even when he and I argued about it, he would just vaguely say he'd be more careful next time and then immediately go back to being glued to Emma. Like now, knowing full well I was already very unhappy. Liam was still leaning his head close to Emma's, whispering something, showing no discretion. Both of them looked like they were thoroughly enjoying the intimate atmosphere. I chuckled to myself, a self-deprecating laugh, and suddenly felt a profound sense of pointlessness. So I stared at my phone screen for a moment, then pressed accept. I felt Sage's gaze on me again. I kept my head down, avoiding his eyes, pretending to scroll through my phone casually. Sure enough, a moment later, my phone buzzed again. "Sophia, Liam is a jerk and not worth your love." I scoffed. "Maybe. Break up with him." I raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean, Mr. Sage? Are you concerned about a heartbroken employee from a management perspective?" My building materials company had recently merged with Vance. It was then that I learned Sage was the new CEO of Vance. WhatsApp buzzed again quickly. "No, from the perspective of an admirer." I lifted my gaze, looking at the man across from me with slight surprise. This time, Sage didn't avoid my gaze. Instead, he looked at me with open honesty. In his dark, almond-shaped eyes, I saw a man looking at a woman. I was silent for a moment, not replying. Sage and I weren't close. I only knew he had also graduated from State University, 1 year ahead of Liam and me, making him our senior. Over the past 2 years, Liam had gotten to know him through some business dealings, and since then, Sage would occasionally show up at parties Liam organized. Whenever he came, Liam and his group of buddies acted as if it was a huge honor, but no one dared to joke around with him, let alone pressure him to drink. Because he was a quiet person, yet he possessed an innate kingly aura. If the private room became too boisterous, he wouldn't say a word, he would just slightly lift an eyelid, and anyone who met his gaze would immediately fall silent. He had never brought a woman to a party, and I heard he didn't have a girlfriend yet. Later, when one of Liam's tipsy friends spoke out of turn and asked, Liam quickly pulled the guy aside and lectured him. "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. Aren't you just trying to push your sister on him? Don't you think about who Sage is? If he wants a girlfriend, what kind couldn't he find? Do you think he'd even glance at your dime a dozen women? It's already good enough that I can get him to show up. If it weren't for our alumni connection, with our small-scale business, we wouldn't even be able to get a seat at his table. So behave yourselves and don't go looking for trouble. Because of Sage's aloof personality, whenever I saw him at parties, we would only exchange a slight nod of greeting, never speaking much. But after my company merged with Vance, there was one time in a company conference room where I found myself talking to him at length. Because that time, he had reviewed the financial statements I prepared and then asked several incisive questions about the finances. I explained each point to him very carefully. He listened intently, occasionally posing new questions. By the time I finished, it was almost quitting time. I stood up to organize my document. But a snag on the stainless steel armrest of the office chair caught my dress hem. I was a little embarrassed, unable to sit or stand properly. The dress was a simple black business dress, form-fitting, and the snag was precisely on a sensitive area at the back of my thigh, near my hip. "Let me help you." Sage walked over to me and half-squatted down. I watched as his long, slender fingers carefully lifted my dress hem and unhooked it from the snag. He didn't touch me at all throughout the process. But the moment the fabric of my dress settled back against my skin, the slight sensation was amplified infinitely. "There," he said again, his voice slightly hoarse. I didn't dare look at him, only catching a glimpse of his profile as I softly thanked him. The tips of his ears were a little red. At the time, I rationalized, perhaps the air conditioning in the conference room wasn't working well, otherwise, why would it feel so stuffy and hot? A few days after that, all the office chairs in the conference room were replaced with new leather chairs. I heard they were uniformly purchased and replaced by headquarters. Yet, the moment I heard the news, Sage's slightly red-ear tips and focused gaze involuntarily flashed through my mind. "Liam, come with me to the restroom. The hallway lights are too dim, and I'm scared of the dark." Emma stood up and shook Liam's arm, her syrupy voice sharply pulling me from my jumbled thoughts. "Sophia, I'll just go out with Emma for a moment," Liam said, standing up and addressing me. There were 3 or 4 other girls there, and even if Emma and I didn't get along, she could have asked one of them to go with her. But she insisted on having Liam, a grown man, accompany her. I simply hummed, too weary to bother arguing with the two of them. Liam probably hadn't expected me to be so agreeable and froze for a moment. Emma, however, shot me a triumphant glance, then pulled Liam towards the door. "Come on, Liam, I can't hold it anymore." ING at their retreating backs, irritation surged through me, and I reached for the champagne on the table. "Don't drink any more, you've had 5 glasses already." Sage reached out and took the bottle from me. Perhaps it was his concern, but suddenly all the vexation in my heart transformed into a deep sense of grievance. 6 years, Sage. 2 years in college, 4 years after graduation, I'd been with him for a full 6 years, I murmured softly. "I know," Sage replied calmly. "Back then, to pursue me, he set up 99 candles on the university athletic field to declare his love. Those once sweet memories now brought only a pang of sorrow." "I know." He repeated the same words. When his company was on the verge of bankruptcy, I was the one who stayed by his side. My voice trembled slightly. "I know. You know all this? Did he tell you?" I looked up, my eyes clouded with tears. No. Sage looked at me deeply. "No?" As our gazes met, I suddenly understood something. Liam and Emma returned, having taken enough time for a normal person to make 3 or 4 restroom trips. "That long?" I asked. Emma's stomach felt a bit unwell, Liam mumbled vaguely. But I noticed that his originally neat suit pants now had several disheveled wrinkles. "She wasn't feeling well. Seriously, Sophia, you're not getting jealous over this too, are you?" Meanwhile, the black pantyhose under Emma's trendy outfit had somehow slipped down to her ankles, looking particularly messy. I suddenly realized that 6 years, in someone's eyes, was nothing more than a fleeting moment. Everything I cherished, he could make vanish with a wave of his hand. Liam cleared his throat uncomfortably a couple of times. "Well, let's call it a night. Sophia, Emma's dorm is about to close. I'll drop her off first, then come back for you," he said, his eyes a little unfocused. "No need, I'll take a taxi myself," I said coldly, the last shred of hope I had for him extinguished completely at that moment. "All right then, I'll call one for you." Liam seemed to let out a sigh of relief. He pulled out his phone, opened the ride-sharing app without a word, ordered a taxi for me, and then sent the ride information to my WhatsApp. "Sophia, text me on WhatsApp when you get home safely. Sweetie, get some rest." As he spoke, he raised his hand, an habitually indulgent smile on his face, intending to pat my head, just as he had countless times before. But this time, I unhesitatingly turned my head, dodging his hand. Liam's hand froze midair, and he frowned in displeasure. Just as he was about to say something, Emma's urgent voice interrupted him. "Oh no, Liam, the dorm's close in 15 minutes. What if I can't get in?" "Why wouldn't you be able to get in?" Liam turned his head. The displeasure on his face instantly vanished, replaced by a tender smile. "Really? My school is super strict. If I can't get in, Liam, will you let me stay with you?" Emma pushed her luck, her body unconsciously leaning closer into Liam's embrace. Liam, with feigned reluctance, was pulled out the door by Emma. From a distance, I saw Liam raise his hand and put his arm around Emma's waist. Sage had left the private room earlier to take an important call and hadn't returned yet. So I sent him a WhatsApp message to let him know the party was over. Then I walked out of the hotel alone to wait for a taxi. An autumn rain had just fallen, and cold winds gusted outside the hotel. I couldn't help but wrap my coat tightly around myself. The taxi hadn't arrived yet, but a Rolls-Royce pulled up in front of me. Sage got out and opened the car door for me. "Going home? I'll take you." In the cold wind, I looked at the man, handsome as a god, before me, and a thought flashed through my alcohol-buzzed mind. If and Emma could do what they did, why couldn't I? "No, not home," I said with a resolute smile. "Let's go to your place." The warm yellow glow of the streetlights fell on Sage's hand as he lightly held the steering wheel. His long, pale fingers suddenly tightened. Then he turned to look at me, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Are you sure?" he asked in a low voice. "Yes," I said, lowering my gaze, my heart inexplicably quickening. The next moment, he suddenly leaned in closer. A pleasant woody scent filled my nostrils, and I nervously closed my eyes. Then I felt my shoulder and chest tighten. He was just helping me buckle my seatbelt. I opened my eyes, a little embarrassed. But he didn't immediately sit back. His almond eyes gazed at me with a composed look, a hint of a smile in them. In an instant, my face felt like it was burning. "I thought you were going to," I stammered, turning my face away in a fluster. "That's right, I was going to." He suddenly tilted my chin up and passionately kissed my lips. His lips were soft, tender and lingering at first, as if recounting years of hidden affection, making me tremble and my heart stir. Then he slowly increased the pressure, becoming more dominant. He parted my lips, exploring every hidden corner of my mouth. First, his tongue swept over all the secret places in my mouth, then entwined with mine in a desperate dance. His kisses left me breathless, my legs weak. My entire body felt as if it were melting into his embrace. Just as our passion became overwhelming, Sage suddenly pulled away from me, breathing heavily. I gazed at him, a little bewildered. "Sage," he raised a hand to wipe away the moisture from the corner of my mouth, a faint smile playing on his lips, his deep, husky voice whispering in my ear, "Honey, let's go back first. Back to my place to satisfy you." I instantly sobered up, my face flushing, and I avoided his gaze, turning to look out the window. My already heated body felt even hotter, and my throat felt parched. The black Rolls-Royce sped through the night, arriving quickly at a grand villa. Sage led me out of the car, and as soon as we stepped through the villa's main gate, he pinned me against the back of the door. This time, his kiss was urgent. In his eyes, as he looked at me, lust surged. Gone was the usual aloofness that kept everyone at a distance. I was nearly suffocating from his kiss and had to raise my hands to push against his chest. Sage released my lips, took my hands, and pinned them above my head. His chest pressed against me again, even tighter. A flurry of soft, lingering kisses descended upon my forehead, nose, cheeks, and earlobes. Then they lingered on my neck, over and over again. His ministrations made me let out a low moan. "Let's go upstairs." Sage extended a long arm and lifted me into his arms. Sage carried me into his bedroom. I expected him to be experienced, but in reality, he was a little unpracticed. Wild lust and gentle tenderness intertwined in his eyes. On one hand, there was a surging desire to devour me whole, making my heart tremble. On the other, he was restrained, carefully probing, as if afraid I might be uncomfortable. "I'm sorry, it's my first time," a bit rushed. When it was over, he gently wiped away the tear streaks from my eyes, his voice husky. Was this his first time? A secret thrill bloomed in my heart. I shook my head, burying my face in his chest. "It was wonderful. I really liked it," I whispered, hugging his slender waist tightly. It was the first time anyone had cherished me as if I were precious, rather than simply indulging their own desires. This feeling I had never experienced with Liam. I truly liked it. His chest was burning hot, his muscles firm. My fingers lingered on his abs for a long time, then traced upwards along his rising and falling chest muscles until they touched his prominent Adam's apple. He trembled at my touch, his breathing, which had somewhat steadied, instantly grew ragged again. Immediately after, he rolled over and pressed down on me again, his voice carrying a husky, seductive edge. Was it wonderful? Because I don't think it was enough. When I woke up again, it was already past 9 the Ext morning. I sat up with a start, a reflex action. Then I remembered it was Sunday, no work. So, rubbing my sore lower back, I flopped back onto the bed. Sage was already gone. My clothes, which had been scattered everywhere last night, were now neatly folded and placed beside me. I glanced at the black lace bra on top, and my face began to burn again. During the second time last night, he was much more at ease. His actions were still careful and tender, but he clearly controlled the rhythm. Before long, I was crying uncontrollably in his arms. And he, while softly comforting me, also relentlessly kept me up half the night with his passion. I put on my clothes one by one, then pulled my phone from my coat pocket. After getting into Sage's car last night, I had turned my phone off. Now, as soon as it turned on, I predictably received several WhatsApp messages and missed calls, most of them from Liam. I scrolled through them one by one. Sophia, the taxi driver is here. Why haven't you gotten in yet? Sophia, why is your phone off? Are you still at the hotel? Stop messing around. The driver's getting impatient. Next was a screenshot of a cancelled taxi ride. Fine, you won't take it, huh? I cancelled it. Get home however you want. The latest message was from this morning, around 8 a.m. Sophia. Still off the hook, huh? How long are you going to keep this up? Constantly making a scene over every little thing. I'm telling you, if you keep this up, we're breaking up. I pulled at the corners of my mouth, bitter feeling rising in my heart. My fingers trembled slightly as I gently traced the words breaking up. Actually, last night I had already decided to break up with Liam. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten into Sage's car. But seeing those two words come from his mouth first, I still felt a sharp pang in my heart. He was clearly in the wrong first. He was the one who left me bruised and battered, so what right did he have to be so self-righteous? With no lingering affection in my heart, I replied, okay, Liam, we're breaking up. After calming myself down, I opened the other two WhatsApp messages. These two were from Sage. One told me he had a meeting in Vista today, an early flight, which was why he hadn't woken me. He would contact me when he returned. The other was a thoughtful reminder. Breakfast was ready in the downstairs kitchen. Also, it was going to rain today, and he had left an umbrella for me in the entryway. I sniffed hard, holding back the warmth that welled up in my eyes. In 7 years with Liam, I had never once had him prepare breakfast for me. Occasionally he would remind me if it was going to rain, but he would never thoughtfully leave an umbrella for me. Sage was far better than him, both in his passionate intimacy last night and his meticulous reminders this morning. Unfortunately, we weren't a good match. Last night had merely been a tender and enchanting dream. I tidied up the room and went downstairs. Then I slowly savored the breakfast he had left warm in the rice cooker and took the umbrella he had prepared for me. The moment I closed the main door, I softly said, "Goodbye, Sage." As I took the subway back to my apartment, Liam's call came through again. This time, I pressed the answer button. Sophia, damn it, I worried about you all last night. Did you even go home? Where were you? I calmly asked him, Liam, if you were so worried, why didn't you come to my place yourself last night? I had never lived with Liam. But to make it easier to take care of him, I had specifically rented a small apartment very close to his place, just a 10-minute walk away. Liam was momentarily speechless at my question. I drank too much, my head hurts, I didn't want to move. And? Did she really return to her dorm? I asked coldly. Liam was silent for a moment on the other end of the line. Then he evasively said, Sophia, we're talking about us, why bring her up? She's just a kid, not wanting to hear his tired excuses anymore. I simply hung up the phone. The subway arrived at my stop, and as I walked out with the crowd, I unexpectedly spotted Liam. He must have heard the station announcement over the phone and guessed I would come out here, so he specifically came to intercept me. Sophia. Liam grabbed my arm. We're about to get married, what's with all this drama every day? I'm not causing drama, I said, looking quietly into his eyes. Liam, we just broke up. You. Liam pointed a finger at my nose, utterly exasperated. You're damn serious, aren't you? You think I can't handle it? Sophia, don't you dare regret this. I won't regret it, I said, pulling my hand free and striding towards my apartment. Liam roared behind me, fine, just you wait. Don't come pleading me later. In the following days, Liam never contacted me proactively again, but he constantly updated his social media post. It was either him and Emma having a blast at an amusement park, or them attending a concert together, or grabbing street food skewers from a roadside stall late at night. I was indifferent to all of it. Since we had broken up, he could live however he wanted. A few of his friends, however, secretly called to persuade me, "Sophia, you and Liam have been together for so many years. Don't just call it quits. Liam has been in a bad mood these past few days, and he's drunk again tonight. You should come take care of him," I sneered. "Don't tell me about his affairs anymore." Fine. Before hanging up, I heard Liam shouting at the person on the other end, "Who told you to call her? I'd rather drink myself to death than let her boss me around today." I moved out of my current apartment and rented another one closer to my office. My luggage was simple, 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. A regular car could fit it all, so I asked a colleague I was close with to help me move. But on moving day, I didn't find my colleague. Instead, Sage arrived. He was wearing a black business coat, leaning against the car door, smoking a cigarette, his beautiful almond eyes bloodshot. Yesterday he had sent me a WhatsApp message saying he would fly back to the city last night. I didn't expect him to show up downstairs at my building this morning. "I heard you were moving this morning." "Yes," I nodded blankly. "I'll help you." He stubbed out his cigarette, took my luggage, and put it in the car. "Get in," he said, opening the passenger side door for me. I hesitated for a moment, then got in. This time, I immediately buckled my seatbelt. Sage watched my actions, pressed his lips together, his eyes deepening. "Why did you say not to take it to heart?" The car started, and he asked calmly. Sage had been in contact with me throughout his business trip. He asked if I had eaten breakfast, if I had gotten caught in the rain, and if I felt uncomfortable anywhere because of what happened that night. I replied to each message, concluding by telling him I'm perfectly fine. Please don't worry about what happened that night. I had too much to drink that night. I was a little drunk, a little out of control. I lowered my eyelids guiltily, not daring to look at him. My gaze, however, involuntarily fell upon his hands, gripping the steering wheel, knuckles distinct. These hands had once cupped my face for a passionate kiss, had held my wrists, intertwining his fingers with mine, had wiped away my tears and supported my waist, In that moment, I suddenly felt a little heated again. "So, you think you don't need to take responsibility for me?" The car stopped at the intersection for a red light. Sage looked at me with a deep gaze, his long fingers lightly tapping on the steering wheel. As he tapped, images from that night suddenly flashed through my mind again. I swallowed hard. Not daring to look at his hands anymore, I could only raise my eyes to meet his gaze. "I broke up with Liam," I suddenly said. I didn't know why I was telling him this, but I really wanted him to know. Age curved his lips into a slight smile. "I heard. Otherwise, why do you think I would have waited until the meeting was over to come back?" "Sophia," he softly called my name, his deep voice carrying a hint of tender affection. "My feelings for you are genuine. From now on, will you be my girlfriend?" I gently shook my head. "Sage, I wanted to tell him that I was just a girl from a small town who had come to the city to make a life for herself. I wanted to tell him that we were unsuited in terms of family background, education, and talent. He had graduated from a top university abroad and was the CEO of Vance. And I, with only an undergraduate degree, was just a financial controller at a small building materials company. I wanted to tell him that I was glad to be his first, but I myself was far from being a first. But how difficult those words were to say, especially to someone who made my heart skip a beat. I opened my mouth, struggling to speak again, but Sage suddenly interrupted me. "Sophia, in my junior year of college, I met a girl. The first time I saw her, she was standing outside the campus gates in heavy snow, handing out flyers." The car started moving again, and Sage turned to look straight ahead. In the shifting light and shadows, I gazed at his sharp, smooth profile. When she handed me a flyer, I initially wanted to avoid taking it, but then I saw a cute cat head peeking out from the collar of her red down jacket. Hearing this, my eyes widened instantly. Handing out flyers in the snow, finding a stray cat curled up in the snow, holding it close to keep it warm. These familiar past events suddenly flooded my mind. The girl he was talking about, was it me? Later, I followed the ad on the flyer and found that new restaurant. I saw her again when I went to eat. She smiled as she handed me a menu, then patiently waited for me to order, chewing on the end of her pen. Sage glanced sideways at me, a smile in his eyes. I deliberately asked her for our recommendations. She was incredibly honest. After glancing around to make sure no one was listening, she quietly told me not to order the recommended dishes, saying they were all pre-prepared meals. She thought the Yangzhou rice was the best. Sage chuckled softly at this point. While I was so embarrassed I wanted to sink through the car floor. I worked at a restaurant during my sophomore year of college. Because of my honesty, the owner discovered that the restaurant's best-selling dish was actually the least profitable Yangzhou rice. And that morning, among the breakfast Sage had prepared for me, there was Yangzhou rice. Thinking of this, my heart skipped a beat. No wonder the fried rice he made tasted so familiar. Later, I found out the girl was majoring in business administration, 1 year below me, making her my junior. Unfortunately, by the time I wanted to get closer to her, she already had a boyfriend. A hint of melancholy tinged Sage's tone. I could only quietly follow her, thinking that with time, I would naturally let go. Who knew, the more I paid attention, the more I liked her, and the more deeply I fell. A wave of bitterness washed over me. I never knew any of this, Sage smiled. He controlled the steering wheel with one hand, while the other reached over, took my tightly clenched hand, and gently massaged it in his palm. It was my unrequited love alone, why should I have bothered you with it? But, Sophia, seeing you and Liam together back then, my heart truly ached. I curved my lips slightly, my fingertips sliding into the gaps between his fingers. His apple bobbed, and he immediately took control, intertwining his fingers tightly with mine. The car stopped beneath my newly rented apartment. Sage helped me carry my luggage inside. Then he impatiently pulled me into his arms. After returning to the country, I ran into Liam at a business banquet. To learn about your current situation, I took the initiative to help him a little with his business. And later, whenever I had free time, I would come to the parties, just to see you. Sage buried his head in my neck, his warm breath fanning my ear. For a moment, it reminded me of that little stray cat I had found in the snow all those years ago. Sage, I raised my hands to encircle his strong waist, my entire heart melting completely. Sage, seizing the opportunity, sealed my lips with a fervent kiss. This apartment was newly built, rented out for the first time, and all the furniture was brand new. Yesterday I had done a quick tidy-up and just bought a new set of bedding for the bed. And now, the brand new pale blue sheets beneath me were heavily wrinkled. The white ceiling light above swayed rhythmically in my tear-blurred eyes. Sophia, will you? Sage asked, kissing my ear as he spoke. I sobbed softly in his arms, nodding my head haphazardly. He had waited for me silently all these years, and all considerations of compatibility no longer mattered. Sage and I were officially together, but we hadn't gone public yet. I was the one who asked Sage not to go public, because there were still some messy affairs to handle, and I didn't want to involve him. Sure enough, after I called Uncle and Aunt to inform them about my breakup with Liam, both of them showed up at my company early in the morning, causing a scene. Sophia, get out here. How dare you break up with Liam? Colleagues who had just started work were peeking curiously, so I frowned and pulled the two of them outside. Sophia, stop this nonsense, hurry up and make up with Liam. He just handed your uncle a big project. How can we be so ungrateful? Aunt came over to grab my hand, but I shook her off. Ungrateful? I sneered. I was an orphaned girl adopted by my grandma who scavenged for a living, and it was grandma who raised me to adulthood. As for uncle and aunt, they never provided me with a single meal. How could they claim to have done me any favors? Uncle, aunt, Liam giving you th. A project means you owe him a favor, not me. I don't owe him anything. And my breakup with him has nothing to do with you either. You brat. What's wrong with you? A little education and you think you're too good for us? I'm your uncle. If you don't listen, I'll break your legs. Uncle fumed. Aunt chimed in, Sophia, you should be content. You've been with Liam for so many years, who else would you be with? Besides, Liam was so good to you. He even sent over the wedding funds. What did you say? I abruptly cut her off. What wedding funds? Liam and I had planned to marry, but we hadn't gotten to the point of exchanging wedding funds. I said. Aunt apparently realized she had let something slip and began to stammer. Uncle, with a defiant look, said, Brat, I'll tell you what, Liam sent over the wedding funds 2 days ago, and Aunt and I accepted them, 300,000. So you'll get married whether you want to or not. No discussion. I didn't agree. By what right did you accept the wedding funds? A suffocating anger instantly swelled in my chest, unable to rise or fall. By what right? By the right that your grandma, my mother, raised you all these years. Was it all for nothing? Uncle yelled, pointing at my nose. Grandma did raise me all these years, but what does that have to do with you? Where were you when Grandma and I were scavenging for trash? Where were you when Grandma was sick, and I was donating blood for money? And where were you when Grandma was in the hospital, fighting for her life? I was the one who took Grandma for treatment. I was there for Grandma at the end. None of you even came for her last look before she passed. As I said this, my eyes welled up. My sophomore year of college was the hardest year for me. That year, Grandma fell ill, and I spent all my earnings from part-time jobs on her medical treatment. But it was far from enough. I had no choice but to donate blood for money. Later, Liam, who was relentlessly pursuing me at the time, found out about it. He rushed to the hospital to pay Grandma's medical bills, then took my hand and said he was willing to take care of her with me. It was precisely because of his timely support back then that I had tolerated his ambiguous behavior with Emma again and again over the years, until they became more and more inappropriate, until I was left bruised and battered myself. You brat, I can't control you anymore. Uncle raised his hand to slap me. A large hand suddenly reached out and grabbed his wrist. Just a warning, hitting people is against the law. It was the security guard from the office building, whom I knew well. When I brought them to the first-floor lobby, I indicated to the security guard with a glance. Coupled with Uncle's earlier outburst, the security guard had already been watching their every move. Damn it, you're meddling. Uncle turned to see the security guard and immediately backed down. Aunt quickly stepped forward and tried to smooth things over. We're her uncle and aunt, family. If you have something to say, say it. Even relatives aren't allowed to hit people. If you lay a hand on her again, I'll call the police. The security guard warned Uncle a few more times and only released him when he quieted down, but continued to keep a close eye on them both. Thank you, I said, nodding to the security guard. Turning back, I said coldly, Uncle, Aunt, I only address you this way out of respect for Grandma. I've repaid Grandma's kindness in raising me. I owe her nothing, and I owe you even less. I will not marry Liam. Return the wedding funds, and never come looking for me again. Brat, what did you say? Uncle tried to raise his hand again, but glanced at the nearby security guard and managed to restrain himself. If you come again, I'll report you for harassment. I dropped that statement and walked towards the elevator lobby. The security guard stopped both of them from following. Sophia. A familiar and urgent call reek. Head me. I instinctively turned my head to see Sage taking long strides, sprinting towards me, his face anxious. He glanced at the two people who were still grumbling after being stopped, a sharp glint flashing in his eyes. Then, without hesitation, he extended his arms and pulled me tightly into his embrace. I heard someone was causing you trouble? It's fine now, I said, looking up slightly and returning his hug with a smile. Sage, however, still seemed a little angry. He looked at me, his gaze earnest. Sophia, I know you're exceptional, and you're capable of solving problems on your own. But, Sophia, you're not alone. I'm always here. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the two people who had just been loudly protesting and refusing to leave now being unceremoniously thrown out of the office building by several bodyguards. I nodded, a wave of warmth washing over my eyes. At that moment, the elevator doors opened with a ding, revealing an empty car. The moment Sage and I stepped hand in hand into the elevator, I couldn't help but stand on tiptoe and gently kiss his lips. 2 months later, I was accepted into a part-time master's program. I resigned from my job at the building materials company and moved to further my career at a prestigious accounting firm. And thanks to Sage's persistent efforts, I finally made our relationship public. In a social media post, I shared a photo of the two of us walking hand in hand against the sunset. I heard Liam was enraged when he saw it, asking everyone about my current situation. I don't know who told him where my apartment was, but that weekend, when I opened my door to take out the trash, he was standing right outside. Sophia, he said, his eyes lighting up when he saw me open the door. Liam? I looked at him in surprise. I hadn't seen him in months. He was thinner, with a shadow of stubble on his chin, and he looked noticeably more disheveled. Sophia, I'm sorry, I went too far before, but I swear, I have no feelings for Emma. You've always been the only one in my heart. Come back to me, okay? Let's start over. It's too late, Liam. I accept your apology, but there won't be a new beginning for us, I said calmly, looking into his eyes. Is it because you found a new boyfriend? Sophia, he's just looking for something new. I'm the one who truly loves you. I've loved you for 6 whole years, from college until now. I've also loved her for 6 whole years, Sage's voice said from behind me, and I'll continue to love her in the future. Sage? Liam stared at him, stunned. My social media post only showed Sage and my backs, so Liam had no idea my new boyfriend was him. Why you? You clearly knew she was my fiancé. Liam roared, his eyes blazing with fury. Sage grabbed him by the collar. Liam. Precisely because I knew, I had to suppress my feelings for Sophia for 6 years. If you had truly loved her, I would never have had this chance. You acted like a complete jerk and let her down. Liam's face turned ashen. He looked at me again, his eyes filled with pleading. Sophia, I was wrong, but you can't leave me. Sophia, have you forgotten? Grandma entrusted you to me on her deathbed, asking us to live a good life together. I remember, Liam, I interrupted him calmly. But back then, Grandma hoped I would find happiness with you. If that wasn't possible, she would certainly have supported me leaving you. Sophia. Liam tried to say more, but Sage raised his hand, bracing the doorframe, and blocked him outside. Leave, Liam. Don't bother Sophia again, or I won't be so lenient. A year later, Sage and I got engaged. At the grand engagement party, some of our alumni started talking about Liam again. I heard he's no longer in the city. Apparently, he got a girl from his hometown pregnant, and her family kept causing trouble, making it impossible for him to run his company in the city. No one knows where he's hiding now. I also heard that the girl even threatened suicide to force him to marry her, and Liam became completely depressed after he ran off. The alumni sighed sympathetically, and then a girl suddenly spoke to me. Sophia, he relentlessly pursued you back then, even declared his love to you with candles. I thought he was so devoted. You two dated for so many years, but luckily you didn't end up with him. I frowned slightly at her words. Bringing up old matters at Sage and my engagement party, I didn't know what she meant by it. Mr. Sage. Oh, I'm so sorry, I spoke out of turn. Seeing approach, the girl lightly covered her luscious red lips, feigning surprise. Her alluring eyes, however, curved into a smile as she looked at Sage. She used to be the campus queen of our department, and today she was dressed to the nines, looking dazzling and beautiful. She must have put in a lot of effort, but merely gave her a cold glance before looking away. You did speak out of turn. He then turned to me and asked softly, Sophia, is she your guest? I shook my head. I hadn't invited her, and I didn't know who she had come with today. Since she's not. Miss, please leave. Sage, don't welcome those who speak out of turn. Sage flat out told her to leave. The girl's face instantly flushed then paled. Under everyone's gaze, she awkwardly stood up and quickly left. I couldn't help but chuckle, wrapping my arms around Sage's waist. Honey, well done. So, how about a reward? Sage chuckled, whispering in my ear. Then, without waiting for my answer, he cupped my face and kissed me deeply. Instantly, waves of enthusiastic cheers and blessings erupted around us. Streamers and rose petals fell from above, red heart-shaped balloons filling the air. In that moment, Grandma's dying words echoed in my mind again. Sophia, my only wish is for your happiness. I looked up, smiling as I gazed at the clear blue sky. Grandma, rest assured. I am very happy now. And I will continue to be happy in the future. Life is a long journey, and on. Why with the right person by your side can you move forward fearlessly. And this time, I finally found my own Mr. Right. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.